Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and Mscribe, and today we're going to be talking about some more AI. So
Yes.
hopefully you guys aren't tired.
Yeah, that's a good question. Are people tired yet of AI?
Not me. I continuously consume AI stuff all the time.
Yeah,
All the time.
true. You definitely do. And now so do I. And I think it's starting to spread out there, I think people are starting to realize. I mean, if you haven't been paying attention, crypto Twitter has basically morphed itself into AI Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
pretty much 90% of the conversation, it's like, trying to identify or trying to understand AI because it's such a fast-paced moving thing. So, like, just trying to keep up. And then it's like, okay, what are the crypto implications to it? And then, like, the remaining 10% is just like,
Where did everybody go?
Yeah, what happened? Where did it all go wrong, guys?
Yeah, when is everyone going to come back?
Yeah, we're all like super happy. There's like one guy left buying NFTs. He's got like $1 billion. What's his name? Adam Weitzman.
Yeah.
It's like at least he's still around, Shit like that.
He'll hold the floor.
Yeah, basically. So you get to pick your poison, right? Like, what zone of X or social sphere do you want to live in? And we've been spending a lot of time in the AI sphere just because, it's feels nice over there.
It's very productive.
Very productive. So much so that, and we've talked about this before, it's like, it almost feels like a crime to not like relay some of this productivity gains to you guys who are watching us regularly, right?
Yeah. I think the best analogy I've come up with is with Tesla, we have full self-driving, right? They drive themselves. It's pretty a big deal, right? A lot of people poo-poo that, right? Mm-hmm. But with, things that are happening with OpenClaw and these agents, we have full self-computing.
Yeah. And
now your computer that, even though we use computers all day, every day, we're maybe using like 1% of it, maybe 2% or 3% if you're a developer.
What
right?
About, yeah. And if you're a gamer, you're stretching the limits in most cases.
You are. But you're still not utilizing the computer to the best of its
it's not
capability.
The most productive outcome.
Exactly.
When you're gaming.
And so if you inject an OpenClaw or an agent into your computer, all of a sudden, it can just use your computer to 100% capacity.
Right. Yeah. So to some of you, and we're about to see why, a very probably small few of you understand exactly what you just said. It's like, yeah, I get it, bro. It's like, why are you telling me this? I know OpenClaw. I use it.
Yeah.
I'm no noob, right? But there's 99 other percentiles of you out there who have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. And it sounds like irrelevant information, probably.
Yeah, I would agree.
And to me, that reminds me of like the early days of crypto, right? Where it felt like, I was one of the few people interested in crypto at the time. Just because, and then over time, just the swarm came in.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everybody is aware of it. And
everyone was calling you.
Yeah, they want to know. It's like, how do I get involved? Because they understood over time, crypto is actually an opportunity.
Yeah.
A new opportunity here on Earth. Now it's like AI is kind of like that. It's not obvious what the opportunity of AI is. It's like more so, what, do I just speculate on NVIDIA? Do I just buy, wait for OpenAI to go public? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Well, yes, you could do that.
One thing.
And then there's the crypto native stuff, which we always talk about, right? But that's like super high risk, I'm sure.
Which we're going to be talking about here in a second.
Yeah. Just so we understand, right? Like there's spectrums to how to be involved with AI and not get left behind.
Yeah, right? And I think everyone who watches this channel, I think they like to focus on opportunities.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if the opportunity is buying a token or installing an OpenClaw.
Yeah. It's a different kind of an opportunity, meaning like, and it's a different kind of like ROI.
Yeah.
Of course, understanding the value of some shitcoin out there, earlier than everybody else, it gives you some sort of upside ROI potential.
Yeah.
Right. And that's very easy to understand. You just look at a chart, you look at some numbers, and it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But this, it's like, it takes a little bit more involvement.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Actually, a lot more involvement.
A little bit of setup, but once you set it up, it returns. ROI is like dividends.
Well, immediately in the cost savings department.
Yeah.
Most of all.
Yeah.
But inevitably, once you actually like get better at using these resources and tools, and like value generation should ensue.
Yeah, so we're going to come out with a video talking about how we save thousands of dollars with setting up one of these agents to produce a lot of the output that we're doing.
Yeah. So, we're thinking, let us know in the comments. We think this is very valuable information. And again, we assume all of you watching to be opportunity seekers, right? You want to know what is the cutting edge of, not necessarily crypto,
Cutting edge of opportunity.
And you want to understand, how do I best utilize that? And we feel like that should be mostly what we offer through this channel.
Yeah, I totally agree. So let's get started here. First tweet, it says, your timeline convinced you AI is in a bubble. Talk to a boomer above the age of 35. Last I checked, boomers are above the age of like 55.
Yeah, that one hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're classified now, dude.
Right.
I mean, I feel it. I feel boomerish.
Not me, dude.
You still feel old testosterone swimming around in there somewhere, dude? Not me, dude. It's gone. My beard reflects such.
I'm still doing pull-ups every day, dude.
Wow. I barely pull up out of my own bed every morning, dude. Like that.
All right. So everyone's seen this. Like, if you've spent any time in crypto, you've seen this chart before. Mm-hmm. It's like, these are the holders of, these are the holders of Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And 80% on the planet is still not holding Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Or more, 85%.
Correct. Yeah, this gave me flashbacks to those days, right? Where it's like crypto bros were euphoric over the shared realization of like how early we actually are. It's like, dude, we're like the few on earth who understand this digital money concept. So like, to the moon we go. Right?
Yeah. So
we're seeing the same sentiment in AI.
Correct. Yeah, and for the very specific case of Bitcoin, I think there's only like 3 to 5% people holding Bitcoin. It's like 500 million people.
Damn.
Or less.
Wait. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we're still early then.
Still super early. 17 years later.
Before you saved. Dude, thank you for that. I feel better now.
But this is not crypto. This is how many people are utilizing AI. And so the red dot is AI users who are coding. Yellow dot, people who are paying $20 a month for a chatbot. And then these are the free chatbot users. And then these are the people who've never used AI as the gray dots.
Yeah, so if you go out on Earth and you just have conversations with people about AI, most people's experience is like ChatGPT, some sort of like,
At most.
Well, those are the green dots. Yeah. Then, like, so the area we're going to probably be focusing on, like from a content point of view to kind of like understand how to utilize this stuff, it's in the yellow and red zone, right?
Yeah.
Because clearly this is the stuff like most people have no idea how to utilize or even access. And part of the product itself is like, it's conducive to this result because it's like not so easy.
Yeah, it's not fun setting one of these things up. I think it may be getting a little bit easier, but it's not fun at all.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue. Introducing Polymarket CLI. Yeah, so you ran into the same tweet I did. I was like, okay, this is useful. So one of the things about these agents is they really understand how to use command line interface. That's what CLI is. Mm-hmm. And any app such as Polymarket or your app that you're creating or any app that's out there like Figma, if they create a CLI, an agent can easily utilize that application. So now you just tell your agent, connect to Polymarket, and let's set up an arbitrage for Bitcoin between Polymarket and Coinbase.
Yeah.
And let's take advantage of that. And so, okay, well, let's look to see if there's an opportunity there. And we've identified one. So, drop in 50 grand over here on this address and we'll get started. Because that's how you take advantage of arbitrage for Bitcoin.
Correct. So we're starting to see this kind of like permeate pretty rapidly. Like, a few months ago, it was mostly like MCP.
Yeah.
But now this whole CLI plus skills approach is becoming much more standardized, and we're seeing it a lot in crypto specifically.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like a pressure and a rush building like within like the crypto nexus of like we need to agentify as much as possible. Just because, it feels like the right thing to do, I guess, or maybe it's like the differentiator to Web 2.
Yeah, it's what Web 2 can't do.
Yeah, because of the payment rails and such. And, just different. It's a different environment that seems more fitting for agentification. So there's a lot of pressure and a lot of momentum behind that. So expect, things to move quickly in this aspect.
Yeah, Uniswap is another one supporting agents. Execute on Uniswap. We released 7 new skills giving structured access to core Uniswap protocol actions, your starting point for agentic workflows on chain.
So it literally means agents can degen, basically.
Yeah, and really, if you ever read some of these skills, it's really just like a markdown file, and you can read through the whole thing, kind of understand like what is being fed to the AI. That way, you just having a base understanding is like what it is that you need to build for your application. Yeah,
and it's just like a more efficient approach, right? So like this way, it's like functions on demand. As opposed to like the agent has to have the full context of like how this app works all the time.
Yeah.
For every prompt, it's just like, okay, if this action requires me to swap a token, I just need this skill and I can access that and apply it.
That's right.
So there's efficiency there, so it's not so costly.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's very, very efficient. And Ordinal's wallet, UTXO Detective did the exact same thing. They've enabled CLI on their trading platform.
So now your bot, if you have one, it can mint, trade ordinals on your behalf, which is interesting.
That's cool.
Start to think about what that, 6 months from now, what that could lead to, right? Once more people get their grips on this kind of stuff, it's like, well, you can imagine people will have agents producing collections.
Yeah, and I heard that on Bitcoin there are 0 transactions on the network, so it's pretty cheap.
So it's good timing.
Yeah,
it is a good time to be experimenting with these vectors. So it's okay, give my cloud bot some, I don't know, some cultural alignment of some sorts to like, here's this new cultural phenomena. The monkey, right? Punch. Something's going on with that monkey. I don't know what, but let's create an ordinals type collection rooted to that, and let it rip. Connect it to this.
Yeah.
And you got 1,000 monkeys inscribed on Bitcoin forever, dude.
Yeah, I saw that tweet from Elon where some guy was giving a monkey an AK-47.
Yeah.
And then another follow-up tweet was like someone was giving the monkey a Mac Mini.
Of course. So what does all that suggest? We're just, Elon just thinks we're all monkeys, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, he walks around every day. I'm sure that's his perception of his surrounding. These fucking monkeys, dude.
All right, but Botcoin. You guys talking about Bitcoin. What about Botcoin, though?
Yeah, so we're traversing into the realm of, again, it's like, understand the differences, right? Because this is what we spent our whole channel's existence kind of like tracking.
Yeah.
Scraping for, and then like trying to assess, is there value here or is there not, whatever, right? In the Web3 perspective, it's typically way down the experimental scale, right? As much more like Web 2, in the context of AI, it's way more like the practicality scale.
Yeah.
Like it's like the things that tend to gain attention and traction over there. It's like something that you can like immediately utilize and gain like functional value from.
Yeah, yeah.
Over here, it's like, okay, now that we have agents that have access to new abilities such as launching tokens or whatever, how about we let them mine a token?
Yeah.
And then give it like a similar, tokenomic structure to Bitcoin, call it Botcoin.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this is.
Correct.
Basically.
Yeah. So if you want to learn a little bit more, there's a markdown file where you can read exactly what's happening. But essentially, you send your bot over here and you start mining, and it gives the bot some challenging questions.
Yeah, that's the proof of work in this sense.
Yeah, proof of intelligence or whatever.
Yeah. And
ultimately, if you're using the best models out there, like Opus 4.6, you tend to be on the correct side of things and therefore own or earn the Botcoin token.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of like I don't know. To me, it leads to a problem, right? Where it's like, if you have more resources available, aka credits, aka money, you could run these high-performing models, more so than your competitors within the mining space. And you're just gonna outperform. But it's not too much different than some Bitcoin miner has a lot more money than the others, and they could buy all the right hardware, the latest hardware.
Not only that, I mean, if you're paying for Opus 4.6, let's say you're on the max plan, $200 a month. there's a pretty good chance that you're not utilizing all the tokens that they're giving you.
That's true.
And so if you're not, you're not using those tokens, and if you don't use them, you lose them.
So this is a good example of like something you could just communicate to your boss. Like, hey, if during this period cycle, if I didn't use all my credits with you through our interaction, and the stuff we've been building together, just get some Botcoin, with the remainder.
Yes.
Like just plug in here if I'm just AFK.
Yeah.
And get it like a little passive drip of something speculative.
Yeah, you're going to lose those tokens anyway, so might as well use them.
Yeah. So so I think there was a dashboard. There was like a couple hundred participants here. 200.
201.
Interesting. All right. Well, that's Botcoin, dude. So again, this is Web3. The opportunities tend to look like this, right? Where it's like, it's very weird.
Yeah.
It's very experimental. It's very risky. But nonetheless, it's cutting edge stuff, right? Because it's things you can only do in Web3.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So the market cap right now is a little bit under 3 million, but it's still early days. So
what are those, daily candles?
These are daily, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking a week old, dude. Less than a week. So
yeah,
we'll see where this goes. And then here we go. There's another one, dude.
All right.
This is Lobstar, right?
Yeah, so Lobstar on Solana 2026 meme coin, born from pure AI agent chaos. So I think we can share this link in the description, so I'll let you guys kind of read through it, but it gives you kind of a background of Lobstar. Launched in February 19th via Pump Fund, total supply of 1 billion tokens tied directly to Lobstar Wild, an autonomous AI agent trading created by an OpenAI agent, Nick Pash.
OpenAI engineer. Like
OpenAI engineer, okay.
An actual human being working for OpenAI.
And this guy sent this agent $50,000 worth of SOL.
Yeah, it's a testament to how well they're paid over there, dude.
Yeah, it's just couch money, dude.
50 grand, no sweat, dude. OpenAI.
That's it?
Yeah, that's pretty wild, dude. So, yeah, he's running an experiment, right? Like, and I think this is an experiment worth running because I think you can identify a lot of problems from this where it's like, simply, here's a bunch of money and, figure out new ways to increase the stack, right?
Yeah.
But the controversy or the hilarity, whatever that happened here, it's like it was working and the token was growing in value. And then some person out there prompt injected like some request, hey, I'm starving over here.
Yeah.
You know what will make you feel a lot better, Mr. Robot? It's like sending me some of that money. And then he actually sent the whole stack by accident. And crashed the whole price. But of course the story, it's mimetic, right? It got everyone's attention.
Yeah.
Therefore
price is right now 7 million and went as high as 16 million.
Yeah. And I think whenever it experienced that flash dump,
it's right here.
Yeah, holy shit, it went all the way down to 1 million.
Yeah, so it went as high as 16 million and then
right back down
below 1 million.
Oopsie. But it
and then recovered.
So that's crypto.
Yeah.
That sounds about right, dude. That's what I would expect,
Yeah. All right. So another one, give me a breakdown of Felix coin on Base.
Yeah.
It says Felix is an AI agent token on Base blockchain tied to an autonomous AI colleague experiment by creator Nat. Is it Eliason?
I think so.
It stands out in 2026 AI crypto space because the AI Felix actually runs a real business, earns revenue, manages its own on-chain treasury, and burns its own tokens, all transparently.
Yeah, so kind of along the same lines, right? Where it's like seeded some capital. This guy only had $1,000 because he doesn't work for OpenAI, right? It's like can't just fork over 50 grand here.
Yeah,
the way these OpenAI guys can. But yeah, seeded $1,000. Give it like some goal. It's like the goal here, my bot, is we're gonna figure out ways, iterate continually to increase the stack.
Yeah.
So, but at face value, part of the Web3 look and feel is like, whether or not people are fully transparent about what's actually happening in these experiments.
Yeah.
Because it looks like when people talk about it as if like there's like somebody released an agent and it's just
it's like out there making businesses.
It's out there revolutionizing the earth on its own. But that's typically not what's happening.
No.
Right? There's always some human counterpart.
Yeah, the human is prompt injecting its own bot to go and do that.
Right, but that's part of the experience.
Sure,
right?
that is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, we're not at some like dream state where we could just spin up an agent, release it into the wild, and it comes back to you with millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But it feels like that's the motivation.
Yeah. I mean, it's eventually it might be very possible. You just kind of release it out there and it'll do that, but not today.
No. But yeah, nonetheless, it's still interesting.
All right, so we got an article by Citrony, and we went through it, and ultimately it does a prediction, and it's just a 2-year prediction. It's not like in 2045, you know, AI agents are going to be taking over the planet. No, it's 2028. The agents are going to be taking over. At the S&P 500, it's down 40%.
Yeah. Unemployment
20%.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But it really captured or struck a nerve, and it was very doomer. But still, and here's Kathy Wood kind of reacting to it.
Yeah, Citrony's AI thought piece shocked the financial markets yesterday, but ARK Invest is forecasting that AI will cause an explosion in entrepreneurial activity, a production boom, an acceleration in real GDP growth, and much lower than expected inflation. Short term, dislocations and frustration should give way to great opportunities if individuals harness powerful AI tools to solve problems and create new markets. See ARK Big Ideas in 2026.
Yeah, so that's kind of the assessment we have too. It's like assuming this prediction comes true, and then so there's like a permanent underclass that people are kind of like labeling.
Yeah.
It's the ones who, you know, if you go back to the grid with the squares, they stay in the gray zone.
Yeah.
You know, the ones who are unwilling or whatever
It's
adapt.
amazing. They're not paying attention.
Yeah. I mean, is it their fault, or is this not enough people are, again, relaying the significance here, maybe effectively?
Maybe not.
So again, it's like we feel like we need to kind of
Accelerate that?
Or try, like at least put some sort of foot forward. It's like contextualize what's happening, you know, so people feel the motivation.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. How many impressions this got? 26 million views for the article, dude.
Yeah, that's insane.
And that's why Kathy Wood was commenting. I mean, everybody was talking about it. We got finally here a video by, is this Sharble?
Mm-hmm.
How I run my entire business with AI agents, full OpenClaw setup. Really good video. This guy kind of breaks down his OpenClaw setup, tweet bot, training bot, YouTube content.
Yeah, and then, you know, this is kind of what sparked this, and along with like other like AI content producers of the now, sparked the motivation. It's like, okay, we need to enter into this arena because their setups, their workflows, their processes mirror our own very closely.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, they're not saying anything that we don't like already understand.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, we need to inject our experience here.
Yeah.
And give voice to, you know, our interpretation again is like how people don't get left behind, like the way Kathy Woods is kind of suggesting.
Yeah, and we have some solid examples of, you know, taking advantage of these like agents and producing content, making things a lot cheaper, and the output is like pretty respectable.
Yeah, and again, it's from a cost savings perspective, it's pretty remarkable. And like, you know, every time we figure out some new process or some new tool, you know, you immediately feel like, okay, the magnitude of like of that unlock.
That's right.
And again, it's not like the same feeling you get when you get like 100x.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I made the right speculative play. But it is in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, probably the feeling is similar-esque, but it's in a different kind of department in your life.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you ever had hopes and aspirations of storytelling? You know, you think you had good thoughts in your brain, you know, creativity.
Yeah. But
you just never had any way to like truly, you know, express it because, you know, you didn't go to art school for 20 years.
Yeah, you're not a developer.
You're not a cinematographer.
Yeah.
You don't have any of those flashy accolades. So like Hollywood's never going to give you a shot.
Yeah, but C-Dance will.
Yeah. Or whatever other tools that's out there. And you can actually do these things. You know?
Yeah.
And it's real. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people on Twitter and abroad who are claiming like this all AI is just pure fluff. And it's an overstatement. Right.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Thank you, Andrew Tate.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, basically a bitch if you're using AI in any capacity, right? You should be using like pure human sweat labor.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Human labor. All right, well, that's it for us. If you have any questions around the AI space, definitely hit us up down below. If you find anything else interesting in the space, put them down below as well. We'd like to hear about it. Appreciate you for watching, and we'll catch you next video. Peace.